With the transfer window having closed over a month ago, Tottenham fans were very happy with what they got in the summer transfer window. And at current, we are seeing these stars light up the Premier League, the Champions League, and the Carabao Cup. They've been absolutely fantastic, hitting the ground running under Thomas Frank's tenure and start at the football club. So today on the Inside Spurs YouTube channel, I'm going to be talking about some of these key signings and seeing and asking if they are the final piece of the Tottenham jigsaw puzzle, or do we need to sign some more players and improve this squad even further? But before we go any further, if you are new to the Inside Spurs YouTube channel, then drop us a like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and let me know in the comments down below who's been your player of the season so far and who do you want to sign. Now, this video was inspired by the latest bonus episode of Inside Spurs, which you can catch on the talkSPORT YouTube channel and the talkSPORT Spurs YouTube channel as well. Go and check those out. I'll put links in the description down below. But this week I was joined by the Athletics' Dan Kilpatrick, and we were reflecting on the Doncaster game, looking ahead to Wolves as well. And a lot of the conversation was about our new signings, especially Palhinha and also Xavi Simons, Mohammed Kudus as well. And the fact that are these players now the vital players that Tottenham have needed for years? Did we need players like this for donkey's years? And how good have they been since they've arrived at the football club? And also, we touched on the potential of Harry Kane returning to the football club, but we'll talk about that bit at the end of the video. But first of all, let's talk about Palhinha, Kudus, and Xavi Simons. I'm going to speak about the X Factor players who we hope will, light a spark in the creative sense later on in the video. But some players that I want to talk about now who shone last night and have, looked quite good so far this season is Palhinha. I mean, funny enough, when I saw that Spurs lineup and I saw him and Gray, I thought, maybe Gray plays at the back like he did last year, and Palhinha goes in midfield. But Palhinha playing a more of a centre-back role, but, coming into that midfield as well, scoring a wonderful overhead kick goal from a set piece. I mean, our set pieces now look, night and day from Antoine as well. Do you think now Spurs have, they're looking to actually make this deal permanent? I've been reading recently. Do you think we'll see him more at centre back occasionally as an option, or do you think he has got to be Spurs' six, in most games, week in, week out?
I don't think we'll see him at centre back often. I think that was a case of needs must. I mean, who knows? But Spurs were missing Dragusin, Takai, and Ben Davies, who could all play centre half. And I imagine if one of them had been fit, Frank wouldn't have put Palhinha back there. But as a kind of emergency option against League One opposition, it was absolutely fine. And I was really glad that he did it that way around, because I think we all want to see Archie Gray in midfield, either in a settled, confident team, which wasn't the case when he played in midfield last season, or kind of against a slightly lesser side like Doncaster, so that he can show what he can do. And I think he was really good as a kind of box to box midfielder last night. Gray, I really like watching him. And yeah, on Palhinha, I think it's too early to talk about a permanent deal. It's September and he's on loan till the end of the season, so that's not a decision Spurs have to make now. But I think a lot of fans are kind of falling for him. He's got those qualities that Spurs have so often missed over the years, and that he loves a tackle, he loves a block, he celebrates kind of defensive actions like a goal.
Proper old school, isn't it?
Yeah, and he's chipped in with a couple of one really important goal against City and one really nice goal last night. Albeit, as I said, it did feel like a kind of proper defensive midfielder's overhead kick. It was quite kind of slow motion. But I think he seems to be a really popular and important member of the squad already, and kind of long may that continue. Really.
Yeah, I think we've been crying out for that player for many years. I mean, proper old school, no nonsense tackles. Even his diagonal passes are really good to move on the play, and just his touch map last night was just up and down the pitch, even at centre back. So it's just something that. I mean, they say never fall in love with a lone player, but I think Spurs fans are falling hard for this one. And a general point I want to make then is, I mean, I thought Xavi Simons again just adds something that Spurs haven't seen in a creative sense for a good couple of years. And you mentioned there the Bournemouth game. That was sort of the sticking point where we knew, obviously he got unveiled that game as well. We knew we needed a player like that. He changed the game against Brighton when he came on. We've seen him play more in the 10 now than on the left, where he started some of his first Spurs appearances. Do you actually see him, and this is my bold statement, I've been saying this around the office, do you think he is the final piece of Spurs' jigsaw puzzle in completing this team? Or do you think Mohammed Kudus has something to say in that regard as well?
But I mean, I guess I would kind of say boringly that like the puzzle's kind of never complete. You can always get better, right? And I think Spurs still have a way to go before they can sort of say they've got the finished squad. But I think yeah, you kind of asking who I think is the more important signing out of Kudus and Xavi.
Yeah, I feel, yeah, probably, yeah.
Um, that's a really good question, actually, because I think they're both really important. Like, I think Kudus has already made a great start, and you can see how important it is for Spurs having a player who can take people on and beat a man, and that's was missing last season. Has been huge, but I think particularly in the absence of kind of Madison and Kulusevski, like they desperately needed some creativity in there, and Simons is bringing that and. He's settled well. He seems to be up to speed with the kind of pace and physicality of the Premier League already. And presumably he's only going to get better as he kind of syncs with and gels with his teammates. So yeah, I think I honestly can't pick between the two. I think they're both hugely important signings for different reasons. And I think if you took one or both out of Spurs attack, which will presumably we will see in the next few weeks as Frank rotates, then I think they're going to be missing either that that ability to beat a man or that ability to kind of pick a lock in tough games.
Yeah, they hugely complement each other, and I think they're going to and have been improving the players around them, which is what star assets you hope will do. And you mentioned there James Maddison and also Kulusevski, Son as well. I think if we combine their goal contributions, it's like 60 goals last season they all worked towards. So that is a massive chasm to fill for two players like this. And to go off the back of this, I think all three players have been fantastic. I'd say Palhinha and Kudus more than Xavi Simons because we've seen more of the former two. But let me talk about each of them individually. Palhinha, just been crying out for a midfield six. We've got to sign this guy up. Sign him, give him, put it, whatever Bayern want, dotted line, do that right now. He is a Champions League, Premier League player, no doubt. Like big six, top four, whatever you want to call it, player. So good in the tackle, so good at passing, just really a destroyer, just an engine and everything you could want in a sort of, versatile midfielder in that sixth position. He can do it all. He can really be a very important player. And I think because of his time at Bayern, people were very put off by him, but he was the wrong player for a wrong system, which was frustrating for Bayern. Don't know why they even went for him under Vincent Kompany, but he's playing like he's at Fulham, if not better, because he's got better players around. So I'm buzzing with Palhinha so far. Then you've got Mohammed Kudus, creative monster. Glad that he got a rest in the week, but just been really fundamental to all of Tottenham's attacking, prowess at the moment. So I'm really happy with his start to life in the Premier League. Just feel like he is going to he hasn't even scored a goal yet, but he's created so many chances for Burnley and the Brighton game. Just really, really good. And I think he's now in a perfect team as well. Basically, we took a lot of players who weren't in good teams and made them better in our team. So really, really good to see. And we've, Thomas Frank has got an amazing track record of improving attackers. So I think that's vital. And then Xavi Simons. I think Xavi Simons, we haven't seen too much of him yet. He's played a couple of games on the left. He's played a couple of games in the 10. But I think in the 10 is where he's going to thrive. I feel like that would be, his ideal position, his perfect position. So really am happy with his start to life as well. There's still an opportunity, and he's in the thumbnail, so I'll mention him. We need another left winger, I believe. I just feel like that part of the pitch has still got question marks over it because is Odebear the answer? Is Tell the answer? Brennan Johnson, scores great goals, but I still think he's better off the right in certain game states. So an Antoine Semenyo would be fantastic. And we saw him against Tottenham earlier in the season. He was really, really good. But another player keeps being linked back with a move is Harry Kane. And this is what Dan Kilpatrick had to say about that. And that segues me nicely onto my final question because I mentioned Son. But there's another Spurs legend who keeps being linked with a move back to the club. And I, for one, I've said it on my own channel. I've done a video on it. Would love to see Harry Kane come back. Now, we're all in dreamland when we're talking about this, but what is the likelihood of people talking about release clauses, buybacks? He wants to beat the Premier League records. What is the lay of the land when it comes to Harry Kane? I'll let you just take the floor on that.
This has come up again because of the change at the top, because of Levy's exit. And I think I don't know whether there's genuine kind of noises behind the scenes, or whether people are just sort of putting two and two together here and speculating. But I think Kane coming back to Spurs while Levy was still running the show felt less likely than it does now, because for a start, there's their personal relationship and whether there was any kind of fallout from Kane's initial exit. And secondly, there were considerations like wage demands and transfer fee for a 33-year-old, which I think we all felt would be unlikely to be met in the way that Spurs will run under Levy. Now, obviously, there's been this change at the top, and the kind of word from the new ownership group is that they want more wins more often. I guess the implication being that Levy was kind of holding them back in that regard. So if there is genuinely ambition to go and win the Premier League, go and win the Champions League, compete at the very, very highest level for the very highest trophies, then you can make a case that the very best way to do that would be to try and persuade Kane to come back and say, give us a couple more years, break Shearer's record, and lead the line. And it's obviously a really appealing thought. There are implications there. How would that affect the dressing room? Romero's now the captain and the kind of obvious leader and star in that squad. That would change if Kane came back. Could a 33-year-old Kane, as he would be kind of next summer, press from the front in a way that a modern Premier League side wants? I think you could work your way around that, but it certainly would be a question. So there are lots of things to consider, but I think it obviously feels more likely for Spurs now, albeit we need to wait until next summer really to find out if the ownership are going to literally kind of put their money where their mouth is.
Yeah, the way I saw it is, we've seen Kane play. He did it for us, play that deeper role, but because of the injury to Jamal Musiala, he's dropping even deeper and distributed. Even though he scored a hat-trick for Bayern at the weekend, some of his passing out to the wingers is like sublime. So maybe, I can see him doing that Wayne Rooney trajectory of like coming a bit deeper. He could play at centre back. There were so many times, even at Spurs, he's great at defending corners and blocking on the line. So I feel like I'm in total dreamland. So before I get ahead of myself, I think we'll end the video there. And I'm all for Harry Kane returning to White Hart Lane. I think he would be absolutely fantastic in this team. And I feel like, I mentioned in that video, I could see him even now, the way he's playing deep, the way he's dropping in, replacing Musiala because of injury. He's just really, making the wingers stronger. He's got a leadership quality, which I think, Romero wouldn't be too fussed about. He wouldn't be the captain, but he'd be a very senior player. He wants to beat that record. He could play like anywhere in a team, couldn't he? He is so, so good. So I feel like they're, when we look at the Tottenham team as a whole, and I've mentioned this in my reaction to the Doncaster game in the week, there is a more wealthy squad there. Kevin Danza comes in at centre-back like a duck to water. It is more complete than ever. There's just certain things we need to improve, and I mentioned this in previous videos. The defence looks more solid now, but we need to get more out of the attack. And I think we will. It's funny when I say this because we scored quite a few goals already this season, but it was all about shoring up the defence. It was all about getting that right. So I think we've got the final pieces of jigsaw puzzles now developing. And then this is without even, Sarr's been amazing. Berval's been amazing. Archie Gray was great in the week. We've got so many good players who are going to improve under Thomas Frank. It's a very exciting time at Tottenham Hotspur. Really, really proud of what I'm seeing so far and under Thomas Frank. And, people called it boring. I don't think it's boring. I think it's actually really, really good. So I've been very happy with that. But let me know in the comments down below, what do you make of the summer signings so far? Do you think they've all hit the ground running? Is there anyone you want to see maybe a bit more from? We haven't seen Costa Takai yet, which is a shame. But hopefully he'll get some game time and minutes soon. And then who would you like us to sign in future windows? Do you want Harry Kane back? Antoine Semenyo, do you want him to come? Let me know all your thoughts in the comments down below. And as always, leave a like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and also hype the video as well. But until next time, which will be a reaction to the Wolves game, I'll see you guys then. Bye.